Carlos Alcaraz is back. The Roland Garros champion comes back to Queen's Club and wins an impressive match over Walton. What's his first name? I don't even know. Adam Walton, the Australian, a 26-year-old guy who, hasn't done really much on the ATP tour. But Carlos wasn't even supposed to play this guy. He was supposed to play another Spaniard named Davidovich, but the guy had to pull out last minute, so Adam Walton luckily got the call. So, hey, kudos to him because this puts a spotlight on him. You played against Carlos Alcaraz. You got to play in a 500. This is always good for guys who are up and coming, guys who aren't able to consistently play at Grand Slams. I don't know if he'll be able to play at Wimbledon, but it's always good for them. But Carlos Alcaraz, I just mentioned this, but Carlos Alcaraz, after winning Roland Garros now, goes and he parties in Ibiza. So you didn't know if he'd still be drunk after partying in Ibiza. He said that this time was a little bit chiller than last year after he beat Zverev in the final was. But I imagine he was still on one. And look, it's a 500. We know players of this quality always have the ability. They may or may not lose in something like a 500 because it's not really that important. 500 tournaments and even 1,000 tournaments, but to a lesser degree, they're really meant to help you warm up for a Grand Slam or for 1,000, especially 500s or 250s. 250s, you honestly only go for because of appearance fees. If someone isn't giving you an appearance fees, if you're Sinner, Alcaraz, Djokovic, one of these guys, why the hell would you go unless, you are desperate for a tournament? Either you've been suspended or injured a lot. You're not going to play in a 250 unless you get a massive appearance fee. But Carlos comes back, and it didn't look great to start off. Walton was able to hold his serve comfortably and was able to, hit some heavy forehands against Alcaraz that he wasn't quite expecting. He wasn't as sharp. I don't know how many unforced errors he had, but it didn't seem like it was that many. He had 3 double faults. I remember he had 2 double faults in a row at one point, and, he wasn't broken, but he had 2 break point opportunities. But hey, at the end of the day, all that matters is Carlos won because, like I said, it's a new surface and it's a new tournament. The first match of a new tournament is always the most difficult, and adjusting to that on a new surface as well against an opponent that you didn't expect to be playing and you don't have as much information on will always be difficult. But Carlos came back and he did what he needed to do just off of pure class and quality against Adam Walton, and he wins round 1 of Queens. And he is the clear-cut favorite to win Queens. It's one of those where, regardless of what the draw is, because Ben Shelton got eliminated and a few others got eliminated as well. So it's not like, Taylor Fritz is playing right now against Mute. Ben Shelton got eliminated against Rinderknecht, and Rinderknecht had to go through qualifiers just to make it. But there's Jack Draper, of course, which will be a heavy hometown favorite. Don't sleep on Lehechka because he's a very good player himself, or Menchik or Holger Rune. But you got to favor that it's going to be Gael Monfils lost again, that guy. You got to think it's going to be Carlos Alcaraz, who is the clear-cut favorite to win again in Queens and have the best warm-up ready to potentially go for a 3-peat at Wimbledon. That would be insane. That would put him, I think, only within the class of Federer and Djokovic, at least amongst recent players, to 3-peat at Wimbledon. But hey, Carlos did what he needed to do. Not much else to say. He didn't even play his best, but when you're playing a guy who's significantly worse than you don't need to play your best. You just need to win and then hopefully up your level later. Like I said, one of the things that can be kind of frustrating about Carlos is he allows opponents to get back into matches. We saw that the last set went to a tiebreak. It actually went to a tiebreak, and Alcaraz, because of one phenomenal point in the tiebreak, was able to win it 7-4. But up until then, it was fully on serve, and he was able to, Adam Walton was able to get a couple of aces on him as well. But talent prevailed at the end of the day, and that's what should happen most of the time in tennis, unless you're playing against one of the guys who can, go toe-to-toe for you in terms of talent. I'm not saying that they're more talented than you, but that alone won't win you matches against likes of Sinner or even a Djokovic. But Carlos Alcaraz did it. Let's see what happens next, but hey, it should be a routine walk in the park. I've always enjoyed Queen's Club because, I'm not going to lie, grass court tennis when everyone isn't wearing white is a bit weird, but I think it's cool. I like it, because you're always so used to Wimbledon. Australia and the US both used to be on grass, but then they both switched to hard court. So now most of the tennis calendar is primarily hard court, and grass is the only one. It doesn't have a 1,000. There's no 1,000 grass tournament. I think that's going to change at some point. I don't think it'll be Queens because it's in London, just like Wimbledon's in London. Maybe it'll be Maybe it'll be hollow, or maybe it'll be something like that. But I think they're going to get a 1,000. And then you have 3 clay court 1,000s, along with a few 500s like Barcelona, and then of course the French Open. And the grass season is so sparse. I guess that's what makes Wimbledon even more special. But I always enjoy pre-Wimbledon grass court tennis because you can see how excited the players are to play on grass. I don't think they get the same excitement as moving to clay, and they definitely don't care about really moving to hard court. Even guys who are hard court specialists like a Medvedev or a Djokovic, they're like, whatever, it's hard court. That's like the neutral baseline for the ATP. But they get really excited. It's like the smell of the grass and, wearing the grass shoes and everything like that. It's special. So I really enjoy it. And Carlos Alcaraz, his game suits both clay and grass. It's crazy how it works, but it suits both of them, and he'll be dominant on clay and grass for many years to come because that guy's that special. And hopes he does great things. Who is he playing next? I actually didn't even see because it almost doesn't really matter to me. I'm not going to lie. TBD. We don't even know who he's going to play next. I don't think it's going to be Taylor Fritz because he's number 3 in this draw. We don't even know who's going to play next. Whoever it is, he should absolutely batter them. If he doesn't, then it's a disappointment. Hopefully, he hopes that he doesn't get another Jack Draper situation like he did last year. Hey, Carlos Alcaraz wins. Light work. He's not too drunk from Ibiza, and he's looking to defend his title. And most importantly, go back and win Wimbledon, and let's see how it plays out.